Call the City Council special meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter.
Here.
Stilgrave.
Here.
Vining.
Here.
Germaine.
Here.
Stringham.
Here.
Felder.
I'm going to check my notes. I know he had travel coming up, but I'm not sure if today was the day, though.
Mayor Clark.
Present.
All right.
So, one item, correct?
There's one item. It's the consideration to enter into closed executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining.
Manager Robinson, I'm not sure this further needed. If just looking for a motion, correct? Yes. Okay, we need a motion.
Make a motion
Yeah, go ahead.
to go into closed executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining. Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Vining, supported by Councilwoman Germaine to go into closed executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter.
Yes.
Stilgrave.
Yes.
Vining.
Yes.
Germaine.
Yes.
Stringham.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes, motion to adjourn from the special session.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilwoman Jermaine, supported by Councilman Felder.
Do
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the special session is closed. We'll be back in about Council work session to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter. Here. Stilgrave. Here. Vining.
Here.
Jermaine.
Here.
Hingham. Here. Felder.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. Next item, please.
The next item is public comment.
Okay, tonight's work session on our agenda is talking about e-bikes and bicycle discussion. But before that, we have public comment. And at this time, if there's any president would like to make public comment, now would be the time. Just state your name, jurisdiction of residence in general, and mindful of the 3 minutes.
My name is Scott Gucher. I'm the owner of Jack's Bicycle, 206 South Monroe Street. That's not really my resident, but I guess I do live there the most of the time. I can give you some brief information on e-bikes. E-bikes are not going away. They are growing. Our business continues to grow with e-bike sales. About 30% nationally, even higher, but that's what it is for us. We are getting a lot of demand for e-bike for kids. The age for e-bikes for kids is 14 with helmets. Most of the bikes that you are seeing in the public right now are not being sold by me. They are being bought on the internet. A lot of the questions that we do get asked is how fast do the bikes go? So there's a lot of education that we are doing, but people are not getting that education. We don't sell anything that goes over 20 miles an hour, but a lot of the bikes that you do see out in the public are going faster than that. And before we get the loop trail and the trail out to the state park, but we do need to get some more information out to the public. We give it to it, but it also needs to be other places also. And I'm just really more here to listen to what people have to say. And if they have questions, I'm here to answer those questions. Does anybody on the council have a specific question about e-bikes that I can maybe answer?
I'll entertain some questions on the public comment because it didn't take 3 minutes. Plus, I think it's being an owner in a business here and understanding the request and the use. I think there may be some information to be gained. Andrew, do you have a question?
Yeah. A lot of what I think is on the agenda for council's discussion this evening is what kind of e-bike and where they are to be allowed, whether on trails or sidewalks or what have you. The concern I had going into this, reading the documentation, was especially for the class 2 and 3s, and I understand that you had mentioned that you don't sell anything that's class 3.
Correct.
Is growing up, I had the experience of hiking a lot of trails in Monroe, a lot of dirt trails, and they were just torn to shreds by dirt bikes and four-wheelers.
Right.
Are some of those e-bikes,
No.
do they have the capability to do that same level?
No, they do not. And I will tell you that most of the bikes that we are currently selling, even the fat bikes, what I'll call the fat bikes, the bikes with the 4-inch wide tires on them, which are really designed more for sand and dirt and that, they don't, the knobs are very short on those, so they're designed for hard packed surfaces. And even the trail out at Munson Park, even on an e-bike, you can only go as fast as the trail will dictate that. You can't run the bike in throttle mode and spin the wheel. It doesn't work like that. There's still a pedal assist type option on that. So tearing up trails, that has not been an option. And I've not heard that even in like the DNR or other trails in Michigan, that has not been a problem because the trail kind of dictates how fast you can go.
Other thoughts from, I'll say, Scott's profession about here is the only bike shop.
Only bike shop. Yeah.
And obviously the transition into e-bikes and very knowledgeable. Scott served
Forefront. We
on,
brought them in like 2017 is what. So we've really been on the front edge of e-bikes. I will tell you, it has gotten a lot of people that could not have rode a bike out riding a bike, and that's who we're predominantly seeing buying e-bikes from us. People 55 and over, a lot of people that have issues, even 3-wheel bikes now, we're selling 3-wheel electric bikes. That's getting people mobile. And I would not believe if I've seen 70-year-old people riding like 6,000 miles in like 4 years. Because I look at their bike, I see how much mileage, and I would never believe that person never would have rode that much mileage over a 4-year span last year. So it's getting a lot of people out and mobile that normally would not ride a bike. And a lot of people are using them as a means of transportation to get to and from work. So we're seeing that customer also. So that's one less car on the road, one less parking spot downtown that's getting taken up because that person's riding an e-bike. So there are advantages. Don't look at the 1% that's kind of wrecking it for everybody. there's a lot of people that are using the e-bikes as, general exercise and getting out and getting mobile.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay, thank you.
I will add, Scott served on our Downtown Development Authority for, I think, 3 terms, or 2 terms?
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years, okay. And so, he has knowledge from our downtown and our use and bikes and the discussion that we've had in the past and that we're about to have today. So at this time, I'll see any other comments from those present, public hearing. Seeing none, I'll just go to Manager Robinson. Obviously, this was, I think, from a few of the council standpoint, wanted to have a conversation about e-bikes, the use, what we're seeing, what's the impact. I see that Commander Wall's here as well. He provided some information, as well did the administration that was in our packet. So, David?
Mayor and council members, I know that with everything that becomes popular, with the advancement of technology, the advancement of electric vehicles, the advancement now obviously of e-bikes, which have been around a little bit, but you're starting to see a proliferation of them. And I know that you're receiving questions from the public on, well, hey, can they ride here? Can they ride there? And just like my office, we receive those same questions. And it's important that we have an understanding of what current are our regulatory, what regulates what they use, because we know we have and I had forwarded in the packet that I sent you, obviously the Michigan MCL numbers for the case law, but also our parks rules and regulations that dictate what can be used in our parks and on our trails, et cetera, where e-bikes are not allowed. And and then even I sent the bicycle ones because sometimes people get confused because I believe that e-bikes can also, if they disengage the electric part, can be used as a bike. And then, so that I always ask you is like, okay, well, if someone is riding an e-bike where they should be, if it's in bicycle mode, are they subject to enforcement if it's something that's contrary to where an e-bike is supposed to be, but where a bicycle can be allowed? And so I thought that this was a good opportunity to kind of pull from our law enforcement team and from our Parks and Rec team, and to be able to bring stuff together and show you and explain to you that we do have regulations that are there, and really to seek your counsel on where you would like to take this, where would you like to see this? Because right now, a lot of these Class 2 and Class 3s, they are usually pretty capable for managing any of the side streets in our city to be on the street because of the capabilities of the speed that they can travel. And I have seen lots on the streets, but we've also seen some of these Class 2s, Class 3s on our sidewalks downtown, which isn't allowed and obviously can be quite dangerous. So I think that if I may, I'd like to ask Commander, my buddy here, J.D. Walls, to come on up here and kind of give you he's given us, he gave me this update, he's given other people this update, and I'd like him just to explain where e-bikes fall in this classification and how we regulate it currently.
Commander?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Clerk Treasurer Lavoie, Council, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Buds, J.D. Wall, Administrative Commander with the Monroe Public Safety Department. And I'm pleased to be up here to be able to explain a few things about e-bikes. I've done some of the research involved here in front of you. I've placed a two-pager that kind of gives you some nuts and bolts of the do's and don'ts involving electric bikes. In listening to Mr. Gucher speak, I agree with everything that he had to say about that, and I'm going to add some information to that as well. All this information is based on two Michigan laws that are already in place, which I have on the very top of the first page there. Now, I'm not going to go through and just read all these things, just a couple highlight points I'd like to bring up. That e-bikes must have a seat. They must have fully operational pedals. They must be equipped with an electric motor that's less than 1 horsepower, or no more than 1 horsepower, and also labels affixed to the e-bikes identifying what class that they are. As you can see right below that, the e-bike classifications that I've listed out there, the higher the class, the more capability the e-bike has. Generally, the faster they go. And then you can also see there's some age requirements for class 1 and class 2. In state law right now, there is no age requirement on those. However, the minimum age is 14 for a class 3, but those are also capable of traveling 28 miles an hour with pedal assisting. Mr. Felder, I know you brought up a question about trails and the ability for an e-bike to possibly damage trails. As of right now, e-bikes can go anywhere that a regular non-e-bike can go. They're almost mirror each other. Well, they do mirror each other as far as the law is concerned, as far as where they're able to go. The only difference is if you don't want an e-bike to go somewhere or a regular bike, ordinances need to be passed to prohibit those. And that can be done for any class bike that's listed on here, class 1 through 3. So I think when we look at some of the trails, one of the MCL numbers there specifically speaks about the trails and where they can go. I have that listed at the bottom of page 1, just as the brief summary of what can happen and how we can deal with it should things become a problem. I believe in a situation when it comes to e-bikes, a commonsensical approach is best, simply because there is law already that says what the do's and don'ts are with e-bikes, but we have to see what uniquely might be our issues that we have with them in our community. I do note in the downtown area, there's already ordinances and signage that prohibits bicycle usage on the sidewalks in the downtown area, but that would not keep a bicycle from legally being on the roadway traveling in the downtown area. So if there's certain trails or areas that we want to prohibit e-bikes from being, then we would need to look at that in an ordinance setting to control that locally in this setting. For everybody's reading pleasure, without reading it in this setting, on the last page, the e-bike ordinance enforcement challenges and legal considerations, Mackinac Island dealt with this subject heavily. For anyone not familiar, Mackinac Island is one of the only means of transportation on the island is bicycle or pedestrian traffic only, and they put some stringent regulation in place to try to control that, and they ran into some problems by doing so. That court case is actually, I listed that for you to read, but I guess, looking overall, the last paragraph of this really kind of sums it up, what council, I believe, would be a good consideration to think about what council would like to do with this particular subject. I'm certainly open for any questions that you have.
Any questions for Commander Walt? Andrew?
Commander Wall, thank you for speaking with us this evening. I think that the city manager had mentioned that you have taken some complaints or comments from members of the public, and I was just wondering as to the nature of those comments that you've received.
I have personally not received any specific complaints, although I have heard in general some complaints. Basically, the biggest one I hear is the speed of bicycles that are cruising down the sidewalk. We already have ordinances that are in place, so we do have enforcement capabilities for areas if they're traveling fast down areas where they're not supposed to be already. We can handle those matters through enforcement action. For areas that are open for any bicycle to be, it's a little bit more difficult to enforce. But certainly that would be something that council would have to consider, how we want to handle those types of situations.
Kathy? Yeah.
I want to just say that I have an e-bike myself, and I feel like I'm in that that age group that Scott talked about, that I now can ride a little easier with the pedal assist. So I'm very interested in this conversation. Is it my understanding right now that if I were to ride on the trail out by the river, that would be wrong? Like I wouldn't be allowed? Like what? Help me understand a little bit more. I'm not talking speeding. I'm just talking about the lowest level of pedal assist to save my knees. How would that work?
What class electric e-bike do you have?
I'd have to ask. I'd have to defer that answer to the guy behind you. A 2.
Okay, roads and bike lanes, if you look at on the first page, some of the breakdown here is that it's allowed on roads and bike lanes. Paved linear trails, asphalt crushed limestone, it's prohibited unless authorized.
So we haven't authorized here though, is that correct, in the city? That's what I was trying to understand. When I see that,
In the state park, like if you were to use the trail out to the state park, you can ride bicycles in there.
I think she's talking about the Worrell Trail. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean,
Mark Worrell Trail along the river there in the city.
Currently in our
North
in our
Custer.
park rules and for Parks and Rec, it's prohibited that on the Worrell Trail, it's actually specifically mentioned
Right.
that
there's-
e-bikes, e-scooters, recreational vehicles, mini bikes, dirt bike, blah, 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 must remain on designated paved roadways and parking areas at all time, unless otherwise posted. Motorized vehicles should not be operated on any trail, paved, non-paved, or within any park or playground, including Mark Worrell Trail, River Raisin Heritage Trail, and the Munson Park Trail Network. And that's in our park rules.
so I feel like for me personally, and I'm guessing that there could be a lot of other people potentially out there listening to Scott talk about how this has worked, who he's selling to, the people that would enjoy at a low level. And so if there was a way to maybe reword it so that we could ride it on there legally, not necessarily speeding, but that low level pedal assist, I think that would be kind of an interesting conversation that I'd love to be part of.
Even though we have rules in place that may prohibit it, it can also be allowed. State law allows it, but we can take that step further, or we can leave it at the state law level with that. So I do know that when this was last year, and every year I tend to put it out on social media as a reminder of the areas in the downtown which bikes are prohibited on the sidewalk. This kind of brings up a thought with me that with this particular discussion, this might be something to bring up. It's like, where are all these bikes actually allowed and where they're not? Maybe a map where that is too. So kind of like a public information piece might be in order for something like this as well.
I agree that we really do need education because people don't, just down to the basics of if you're on a road, you function as a car would, and people just don't even think that through. And so helping educate, if there was some way to maybe put some stuff in the newsletter or something like that, I think would be very helpful.
Other questions for the commander? So, okay, Andrew. No, go after you.
So I want to follow up on 2 items. I was sitting here with a question, and I think the city manager answered it, of is the Worrell Trail considered a paved linear asphalt trail or a sidewalk? And the answer is neither. It's considered a park. Is that correct?
It's a trail within a park. It traverses through our park, but it's a trail that our rules and regulations can regulate that under our Parks and Rec regulation, the park rules. It falls under the park rules,
Okay.
how it's currently written.
Okay. I'm
This, it makes it sound like it's either a park or a playground, and I can see why you might think that. Motorized vehicles should not be operated on any trail, paved or non-paved, or with any park or playground. And then it's including is, I think it says including is, I think, additional versus within a park or a playground, because it's neither a park nor a playground. It's the Mark Worrell Trail. And it says, including the Mark Worrell Trail, River Raisin Heritage Trail, and Munson Trail, shall we not be operated on any trail, and then it talks about the others, and then trails again, including this. So I don't think it's a park.
Because
Maybe the end, I don't know, maybe the end is.
if it's categorized as sidewalk and it's a class 2 bicycle, given the scenario that we're talking about, it would be prohibited if it was a trail. It would be allowed if it's on a sidewalk. But if it's class 1, it's allowed on both, unless we're in the downtown where it would be prohibited. And I don't think that any of us are talking about changing that restriction. The thing I do worry about somewhat is because essentially now we have 4 categories of bicycle: your traditional non-motorized class 1, 2, and 3, and then they're allowed and disallowed in certain parts of the city in certain scenarios, depending on whether it's a park, a trail, a paved linear path, a non-motorized trail, or on the roadway. And I worry somewhat about making the set of regulations that we have surrounding this so convoluted that even a well-meaning citizen who's trying to follow the law is going to have a tough time of it. So I would urge, no matter what decision we try and take, to try and make it the most broadly applicable possible.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I have one more.
Speak.
So, I can leave the e-bike portion off and use it as a pedal bike. So if somebody that was looking to enforce that, they see the sign, they're going to say you're driving an e-bike. I mean, how does that work? It feels like it would be very confusing for whoever was having to enforce that on whether I was using the e-bike portion or was I just pedaling a bike. I don't own 2 bikes.
Yeah, it is confusing, and that's what Mackinac Island, that's the biggest problem that they ran into, because people were continuously disconnecting the throttle and then reconnecting it real quick when no one was looking. So the enforcement part of that, I mean, we have to kind of look at the practicality of how do we enforce this. What's going on? Is this where we going to enforce this? Where's our attention need to be in that particular situation? So it does make it difficult because it's hard to tell. I mean, I guess it's no different than you see the cop in the median on the expressway, you hit the brakes and slow down, but we didn't know, back before you were in sight, you might have been speeding. But I'm just saying, in this situation, it creates difficulties that sometimes are outside of our control. So I don't know that there's one good solution to that particular question.
You could see if I had just the throttle and my legs weren't moving around, then obviously I'm definitely using the e-bike portion. But if I'm pedaling, I don't know if there's any way to know if I even have a low-level e-bike pedal assist on there or not.
And if you're going fast enough, you can also be coasting.
Yeah, there you go.
So there's a lot to consider with that. So I know that might not have totally answered your question, but those are some possibilities that I'm going to look at in when we're speaking about enforcing e-bike rules.
Go ahead, Andrew. Because I'm going to get my time here sooner or later.
Yes, sir. I'm so sorry. Are e-bikes outfitted with speedometers?
They can be.
With what? I'm sorry?
Speedometers.
Yeah.
Do they know? Do the bikers know how fast they're going? It sounds like yes.
Gooch on that, but I
says yes.
believe that they are.
Thank you.
So we're talking about items that I think are problematic. I'm looking for solutions because it is a problem. And I can, everybody knows where I live in West Front Street. They're going down the sidewalk. I don't think the e-bikes should be on the sidewalk, especially when they're speeding the amount that I see personally. Or should they be downtown on the sidewalks? We already know that. We have an order that says they can't be. I think when I look at our chapter 199, bicycles, skateboards, and skates, it says use of bikes, but there's no, that I saw, mention of e-bikes. And I think we should put something in there about e-bikes to help define what it is, instead of having to look somewhere else to find it. Because it's bicycles, because we're hearing it can be ridden like a bicycle, and we're hearing it can be ridden as an e-bike. And I think that we have to find that somewhere within our ordinances, even if it's somewhere else. Enforcement, Mackinac Island, I don't see many bikes on the sidewalk because there are no vehicles on the roadway. So the e-bikes on Mackinac Island, I don't think are a great comparison, even though I know they had a challenge, and I know they got challenged for how they were enforcing for those that had disabilities and they're away from mobility. I mean, everybody knows you either walk or ride a bike on Mackinac Island. There's different than here because there's no motor vehicles. They don't have roads that are designed for that unless it's the horses carrying carriage. We're putting bike lanes in for a purpose so they can be used, whether it's a bike, in my opinion, or the e-bike. E-bikes can share the road, especially at the speed in which our speed limit is downtown. They should, in my opinion, e-bikes should be obligated to follow the traffic motor vehicle code when it comes to a stop sign and intersections. That's not what I'm seeing. And it was interesting because I did receive complaints, and I have received complaints, but then they seem to see them more often. I'm not saying there's more of them, though we hear that sales are what's being asked for. And of the 5 I saw on Saturday, 1 was in the street. And the others were going through downtown, past my house, in tandem, behind, or I should say in line, at a speed that shouldn't be. 1, I will say, she was riding, wasn't excessive, so she's probably biking as well as e-biking. She slowed down, and when it came to the intersection, she couldn't pass them because the people didn't know that she was there. She got up, went in the road, unfortunately was the wrong way, wasn't with traffic, to the next street and got back on the sidewalk. Those are complications when we talk about trying to have some type of compliance of using e-bikes in the community. And I think there should be a communication and public networking. We have both from the police department, we have a communications director, we have a newsletter, there was ways to get the information out. Just I believe that Scott said he's giving information as he sells bikes. So to me, it's about communicating what it is council may want to do, and then finding if there's an issue that is going to ask for enforcement. First, you have to have compliance, and I think it's a time frame of that net of information, but also contacts, because it won't take long when you know who has e-bikes or doesn't. But then it comes enforcement. Enforcement has to be clear, not, well, could be this or could be that. I don't have the answer for that right now. That's just my thoughts of how we have to approach this topic as a council. I don't say the sky's falling. I don't say because something's going to happen, but I think the speed at which some are traveling is excessive, and I also think that even if it's not speed, they're pedaling e-biking faster than those that are walking on the sidewalk. I don't care what sidewalk it is, that's a problem, because they're going to go somewhere around or out to the street, and it doesn't matter if you're with or against traffic. I think there's ways we could probably craft something that gives those that have e-bikes the ability to use and to use safely, with others that do not, and how they have to share the road or share our use of these. That's just my thought. And today's a work session. We're not making decisions, of course, as we always say, but it's to give the administration information of, would you like to see something different? What would that be looking like? How do we work with the police department with the input? I appreciate the sheet that you gave, because it's clear when it says prohibited or allowed, and then how does that fit in with what we have on our ordinances and what maybe we should be looking into that I'd like to see the administration look into. Michelle?
Thank you. So it's apparent that we need clear guidelines as to how we want them made, and there needs to be accountability to the people that have e-bikes that might be abusing what their e-bike can do and not do. You need that because you don't know how to govern and control anything. So the very basic thing we need to do is come up with a guideline and educate the public on what the guidelines are after we come up with the guidelines. That's all.
Mike?
Yeah, just a quick question. And we have an ordinance downtown right now for e-bikes not being allowed on the sidewalks. And my question is, how often are those ordinances being broken, and what is the consequences?
The consequence to driving any bicycle, it could be non-motor, a regular bike, is a citation for our breaking our city ordinance in that particular area. We do see it often. I mean, when we're in the downtown area, you'll see somebody that cuts through. As the mayor said, he's seen that before, and that does happen. In the past, we've done some campaigning where I've done some video worked with our communications department and tried to put some things out. But I think, once the council makes a decision, hey, this is what we're going to decide to do overall, I can work closely with our communications department and really put something out that really defines, hey, these are the do's and don'ts when it comes to this. So, I certainly look forward to seeing what council decides in the long run and how we can move forward with this and, hopefully make this better for everybody. It's difficult. Let's say you tell somebody to stop. I mean, I can get into certainly more discussion on some of the issues that comes with enforcing it. Someone on a bike as opposed to someone on foot. If they don't want to stop, then there's some other issues there. However, when we do see those violations, we are stopping and enforcing those. So we've done that on multiple occasions, and we usually give a period of time to say, hey, everybody, I know we're in the nice weather. Be careful. It's no different than our crosswalk conversations that we've had as well. But after we've let everybody know, the public know through social media, that we're going to be enforcing this, just to give them a reminder so they don't forget about it. They get a reminder of the areas where they can't ride, and they're told how to safely ride if they're in the downtown area properly on the roadway. So that's why I think the educational component will be key in this ultimately, coupled with some good decisions on how we're going to move forward with it.
Other comments from administration? David, I guess maybe you're looking for,
I'm looking for some solid direction, because currently, right now, e-bikes are allowed every single place that bicycles are, currently by state law. In our downtown, we don't allow e-bikes or bikes on sidewalks. That's pretty simple. That's an enforcement review. But the only place that we have documented is in our City of Monroe parks rules and regulations that prohibit e-bikes, which lists it as a motorized vehicle, on the Worrell Trail, the Heritage Trail, etc., and those other trails. The only place it's prohibited is there. And it's not in our ordinance because currently, right now, bicycles can be on the Worrell Trail, correct?
I believe so.
And they can be on any city sidewalk, on St. Mary's, on Arbor, on whatever. Bicycles are allowed on sidewalks. And so I'm looking for direction here. Do you want us to separate the e-bikes out? Maybe go back to our ordinances the mayor suggested in chapter 1999, issue something with e-bikes. And if e-bikes you would like to be different, how would you like it to be different? I mean, on our sidewalks or on those trails, it'd be very easy to have any kind of bicycle or e-bike, if you wanted them to be able to be used on the Worrell Trail, etc. You set a speed limit. You can't go more than 10 miles an hour or something of those lines. But is that something you're entertaining? Because I know I've Councilwoman Stringham had talked about how, she'd like to use that bicycle on Worrell Trail, and as I'm sure a lot of Jack's Bikes customers would like to be able to use it there. And I think I'm just looking for guidance from you as how, as a council, you want us to construct this as a suggestion. Is the trails out or the trails in for e-bikes? Are they still allowed for bikes? I just want to see what the council's perspective is so we know which direction to take it.
Kelly?
Of course, mobility is super important, and I think the e-bikes add to that. And I think that we put so much into our trails and our pathways, and even adding sidewalks outside of the downtown area to extend our sidewalk services. And I think that people should be able to use the e-bikes. I'm going to, I mean, I know not everyone is super responsible and things like that, but I'm going to look at the e-bike riders as responsible bike riders. If they're children and they need to be educated, I know Mr. Jacks talked about putting out education to the community. I know we tried to do a lot of that with the electric scooters. And I believe it was a public safety department went as far to do a little small campaign with materials and things like that. I think that it would be kind of difficult to enforce if the officers don't see the people in the act. If I call and say, oh, this kid is doing 25 miles on the trail, by the time you get there, the kid is going to be gone. I personally don't like ordinances that are difficult to enforce because it seems sort of like a waste, in my opinion. So I don't think we need to make a separate ordinance. I think that the rules for the bikes is still a bike, it's just electric, with a small motor on it. And, if the officers catch them violating the current ordinances and things, they can do something about it, and then keep it to where, of course, they can't ride on the downtown, the restricted areas. But I don't want to see any further restrictions about bike riding in our city. So those, I don't think we need to have a new ordinance. That's my opinion. Thank you.
We have about 7 minutes. I don't think there needs to be any ordinance, but I think in our bicycle chapter of our ordinance, it doesn't speak about e-bikes. It speaks about it elsewhere. I don't know why we should be able to identify that as if we're going to, I'm not opposed to e-bikes. I'm just think they'd have to be managed correctly by the speed and not be a hazard or danger to other people that aren't riding e-bikes. I do have a question because in the one handout we received in the MCL 257, and it's just 3 pages. And on number 12, it says, before any entity described in subsection 7 through 10 may prohibit, authorize, or regulate the use of electric bikes within its jurisdiction, and the entity shall hold a public hearing on the matter. It's been a while. I don't know that we've held a public hearing on e-bikes. And if we're going to take action, we need to have a public hearing, and we can hear from the public and have input as well.
Your Honor.
Kelly?
I do agree with you that if it's not to identify it as e-bikes, but I was talking about restricting them different from bikes. But I do agree with you that they should be called out somewhere in the code because it's not at this time. My other question was, were you able to get any opinions from the trail committee about this? Did I miss that? Did they make a?
The last meeting I sat on, and speaking about that, I know there was a development of some trails, and there was some talking about like how can we enforce certain areas that like patrol cars normally wouldn't go. What are we going to do with that? And I don't know that the decision ultimately was made with that. But one of the things that was discussed was, do we do stricter regulations? Do we, how do we regulate this to keep everybody compliant and safe and everyone have fun in those particular trails? So it kind of left at that. I haven't heard anything more at that point. I haven't met with the committee since that last meeting that I had, but I think it was a thought-provoking meeting that required some thinking among the group, and I believe they could probably bring a lot of value to this conversation in the future.
We have 4 minutes, so I'm not sure we have much time for anything additional. I don't know that you received what you may be looking for, the city manager, but from this, maybe some conversation with staff, staff that also oversees, I see Matt's here with the Trails Committee, some conversation there, and if we can get some more information back. You know, just because it's difficult to do, I don't think we should just also not just take a pass. I think we are making some progress on how we're looking for compliance and enforcement, but as we heard already from the professional, is they're not going away, and there's probably only going to be more. So we should be prepared to take a productive and positive response with solutions. With that, okay, because we have 4 minutes. Commander Wall, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And at this time, we'll close the work session. We have 4 minutes, or now 3 before the, or so, before the city council meeting. Thank you. Call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter. Stillgrave. Vining. Jermaine. Stringham. Felder.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here, last we all please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Guide us in our deliberations and discussions this evening. May our efforts promote the good of the residents of this city.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, next item, please.
On the agenda is the approval of the regular agenda.
Manager Robinson, any adjustments to the agenda?
I currently have no adjustments to the regular agenda.
Any comments from council on the approval of the agenda? Hearing none, a motion to approve would be in order. Councilman
To
Hayter?
approve the regular agenda.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave to approve the regular agenda. Clerk, please call the roll.
Stillgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Felder?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments to vendors, the amount should read $2,215,880.18. 2215880.18.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Any items from city council to be pulled for further discussion from the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Those items will be, if pulled, will be brought on the council action item and brought to the toward the end of the meeting. Any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled? Seeing none, motion to approve. Councilman Felder?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave to accept all items on the consent agenda, adopt resolutions and carry out action as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter. Yes. Stillgrave. Yes. Vining. Yes. Jermaine. Yes. Stringham. Yes. Felder.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Clerk, next item, please.
Under presentations, communications, and public hearings, it's item 5355, public hearing to receive and review comments on proposed ordinance 25-003 to amend Chapter 720 zoning. And there are no comments on file in writing in the clerk treasurer's office.
Thank you. I don't know if there's any lead-in from the administration. Obviously, we had the public hearing previously. This is a second public hearing. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on ordinance 25-003, amendments to Chapter 720 zoning ordinance. Any public comments for this public hearing? Seeing no public comments, I'll close the public hearing at this time. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under council action. It is item, just want to make sure. Item 5315, proposed ordinance 25-003 to amend Chapter 720 zoning is up for its final reading.
Thank you. Manager Robinson, any additional comments regarding item 5315?
Well, as the council is aware that this is the comprehensive amendments to our Chapter 720 in the zoning ordinance, and there were several items that have been updated and put into the council packet available for the public. And there's been quite a bit of work that went into this, and I think that after doing the major creation of the zoning ordinance several years back, I think that as we've gone through, we experienced certain items and things and changes that were necessary. And I think we should always look at these as they're always living, breathing documents, because as we go forward, we may identify other things that have to come into the future. And So this is actually where it goes to the final reading and hopefully adoption of the zoning ordinance and the proposed amendments to the same.
Any questions from council for Manager Robinson? Before we take a motion, I'll just make a quick comment for those present and those listening. So we've had, as Manager Robbins said, conversations about this zoning ordinance. It's been made public. We had a first reading. We just had our follow-up second reading. There was from the June 11th email council received that had the attachment. It was 57 pages on the list of all the changes that were made public. And then as a follow-up to that, since last reading, there were 3 items that came from the previous discussion that also were incorporated in tonight's changes, which was, give me a second. It was on July 7th that came out as corner lot fence standards, state licensed housing facility, and beekeeping. And I think it was the only follow-up that came from comments from council or others.
And Your Honor, that was in the packet that was made public when we published it last.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So it's kind of a review that follow up to Manager Robinson's, the timeframe and commitment we've made, but also to know that there was additional input. If there's any comments from council, if not, it's up for action for the proposed ordinance amendments. Councilwoman Steelgrave.
Move to place ordinance 25-003 on the floor for its final reading. Support.
So motion by Councilwoman Steelgrave, supported by Councilwoman Germaine, on item 5315, proposed ordinance 25-003, amendments to chapter 720 zoning ordinance. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter.
Yes.
Steelgrave.
Yes.
Vining.
Yes.
Germaine.
Yes.
Stringham.
Yes.
Felder.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Ordinance 25-003, Chapter 20 zoning, an ordinance to amend Chapter 720 zoning ordinance of the City of Monroe, of the Code of the City of Monroe. The City of Monroe ordains.
Shall this ordinance pass?
Councilperson Hayter.
Yes.
Steelgrave.
Yes.
Vining.
Yes.
Germaine.
Yes.
Stringham.
Yes.
Felder.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5346, resolution for approval of confidential non-union employment agreement and City of Monroe assessor of record with the state of Michigan.
Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor, as council is aware, over a year ago, our former assessor of record had retired. And at that point in time, we required a certain level, which I'll just, for brevity, a level 4, which we were required at that time to have a level 4 assessor. So we did have to enter into an agreement with a level 4 assessor, outsourced, in order to come in order to sign the 2025 tax roll. And at that point in time, our level 3 inspector or assessor, Christine, she stepped up and took over the department head duties in that office. And while we were working in that, myself and along with Dr. Everly, we were able to determine that we were eligible to be able to request from the state the downgrading of a level 4 to a level 3 based on our SEV, et cetera. And that was granted by the state. So all we're required at this current time is to have the level 3 assessment certification. And at that point in time, Chrissy became our level 3 city assessor as the interim. And now we went through a hiring process, competitive hiring process with, there were other applicants that we were able to screen. And we felt that Christine is the right person for this job, and we made the job offer to her, and she has accepted that agreement, the employment agreement, which you have in front of you today, seeking your approval. And she is here in the audience today. If any of you don't know our assessor, they're not always showing up at our council meetings and wandering around, but there she is.
Any questions from council regarding that? If not, Councilman Hayter.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to approve the appointment agreement effective July 7th, 2025 for the following confidential, non-exempt, non-union employee, Christine Eichler, for city assessor, assessor of records.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 5346, the resolution to approve the confidential employment agreement as stated for Christine Eichler. Clerk, please call the roll.
Hayter?
Yes.
Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Felder?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Thank you, Christine, for all the work you've done, and I know that we're going to continue to do. Next item, please.
The next item is 5338, resolution for approval of confidential non-union employment agreements.
Manager Robinson.
Honor, I'd like to invite Dr. Everly from our HR Director to be able to discuss these agreements, which I believe there are 8 in total.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council, Clerk Lavoy, and Attorney Buds and Manager Robinson. It's my pleasure to bring forward this recommendation to you. We have 8 of our leaders in the city who have expressed an interest unanimously to be part of an individual employment agreement. And I'd like to acknowledge my partner in this conversation, Chris Schaefer, who was the president of COMIA 2 and really welcomed and led the conversation with his group. So as you know, that group unanimously expressed an interest to explore a arrangement with the city for their employment and be part of the bigger non-union leadership team. So you have before you for consideration 8 employment agreements, which they have fully reviewed and our attorneys have fully reviewed, and they're brought before you for consideration tonight. And I'm happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Everly from the City Council? Seeing none, Councilwoman Stringham?
I'd like to move that to approve the resolution of confidential non-union employment agreements.
Second.
This motion by Councilwoman Stringham, supported by Councilwoman Jermaine, on item 5338, the resolution to approve the confidential non-union employment agreements as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Hayter? Yes. Stillgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Jermaine?
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Felder?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
The next item is item 5342. Consideration to ratify collective bargaining agreement with the Technical Professional and Office Workers Association of Michigan.
Manager Robinson, comments regarding this item?
Yes, Your Honor, I'd also like to allow Dr. Everly to speak on this item as our lead negotiator and be able to answer any questions you might have in regards to this collective bargaining agreement.
Thank you. Dr. Everly.
Thank you again. It's a great night to celebrate our employees tonight and the hard work of all of them. So we have before you tonight a ratified contract that was ratified by the group, and now it's your turn to consider this new agreement, collective bargaining agreement, with the group that formerly was represented by Teamsters. Now they're being represented by the Technical Professional Office Workers Association of Michigan, otherwise known as TPOM. And we had a very heartfelt, very thoughtful negotiation session with them. Their president, Roy Hedges, is here tonight. And Roy was accompanied by several up-and-coming leaders in the city at the negotiating table. I'd like to recognize them. In addition to Roy as their president, Tyler Loveday is their vice president, Adam Winslow, Jacob Smalley, Matt Quisenberry are their stewards, and their business agent was Joseph Thiveridge through TPOM. So it was a very productive time with them. We made some great improvements while staying aligned with your goals and objectives and what you have laid out as our plan for the city. So it's a pleasure to bring it before you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Dr. Everly regarding this item? Seeing none, Councilman Hayter? Sorry.
Make a motion to approve the City of Monroe Technical Employees Association, represented by the Technical Professional and Office Workers Association of Michigan, 2025 through 2027 collective bargaining agreement, and authorize administration to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Vining. On item 5342, the consideration to ratify collective bargaining agreements as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Stilgrave. Vining. Jermaine.
Yes.
Stringham.
Yes.
Felder. Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
I have no further items this evening.
Well, it's council comments. This is July. Councilman Hayter.
Thank you, Your
council
Honor.
Comments tonight.
So two things tonight. First, I would like to wish City Councilwoman Steelgrave early birthday. She's got a birthday coming up this weekend, so I want to get that out there. And secondly, I know it's a little ways off, but I want to invite everybody to come downtown on August 30th for our Labor Day celebration. We've got quite a few bands, food trucks, car show. So hope everybody comes down and enjoys the festivities.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stilgrave.
Thank you, Mr. Hayter. It is also Kelly's birthday, too, the same day. Yep. We are different ages, however. I am older, but we get to celebrate. Action-packed week downtown. St. Mary's Park is full Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday. And then there's Food Truck Fridays. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vining.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to thank you and the clerk treasurer for taking time out of your busy schedules to host the camp from the Opportunity Center. We had a big group, and I think the children got some valuable lessons. And I want to thank the children for being well behaved. And yeah, I think it's great that our mayor and clerk and the rest of the employees can take time out to, we're always at a school or some event involving the youth. And I just want to thank you and let you know I appreciated it. And to our Human Resources Department and our Community and Economic Development Department, I know I've been here, I think I might be the senior council person. It's been a while. And I've seen some crazy negotiations and things. And I just want to thank you for all the hard work you put into it, how organized and how, Dr. Everly, how you make it to where, you know, I don't work a union job, but I work a nonprofit job, but I can still understand it. You make it very, I know a lot of work goes into being so organized, and I still say it's the teacher in you that makes people want to work with you without acting up. So, so we've had, you know, I believe we've had some very good negotiations since you've been here. And I know it's not just you alone. So you and your team and everybody who works together. And Matt, the zoning thing, we know how crazy that can get. It's ever changing. Everybody wants something different. And so I appreciate the hard work that you put into it, especially the commissioners at the Citizens Planning Commission. You know, we kind of just take your recommendations, but all the work that they do and the questions that they ask make it easier for us here on the council. So also the taser training, it was crazy, but it just let me know I would never be a police officer. Never, ever, ever. It's too many decisions to make and too little time to make the decision. So I do not envy your guys' job. But the fact that the council voted to pay for a lot of equipment over the years, and I like the fact that we were included on that. And I even asked the chief and the fire chief to keep that up. When we get new equipment, we'd be interested to see how it really works in the real world. So I want to thank the Public Safety Department for having us go through the TASER training and just get a better idea of some of the things we're approving for payment, but also some of the different departments, how their jobs are. Because we're just sitting up here making decisions a lot of times, but a lot of times we don't get out in the real world part of it. So on the front lines with you guys. So I'm excited. I'm excited about the new building, the new library, learning bank, opportunity center building is coming along. So there's just a lot going on in the city, and I appreciate the staff and Mr. Manager, your staff is doing a great job. I don't have any complaints right now, so appreciate you guys' hard work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Germaine.
Thank you. I was going to thank the Public Safety Department for allowing that training too. However, I loved using the taser gun and shooting at people. I don't want to be a police officer, but if you ever need somebody to do a tasing, I'll be happy to step in. Aside from that, it is Health and Fitness Week at the Opportunity Center and at the YMCA. There are all kinds of activities all this week, all during the day. Go to the YMCA's website, the city website, look at all the different activities for all ages, from kids to seniors, senior physical activities, field day for kids, Munson Park, it's all over the place. So check it out and get out there and have fun.
Councilwoman Stringham.
Yes, I will just add my 2 cents on the virtual reality training. So for me, I enjoyed it. I don't play games, so that was my first experience with virtual reality. But what it reinforced is the importance of education. So in one of the scenarios, I didn't get it right, and my partner was shot. But in the scenario, I was allowed to replay it. Well, guess what? I got it right the second time. And I recognize fully that out in reality, there is no second time. And so for the officers to be able to do the training and to do high quality training, I feel like is really important, and it makes our community a better and a safer place. So I appreciate being able to be part of that, and helps just cement what we're approving. The other thing I want to mention is the community center at Greenwood. I was able to attend the dedication, and that is quite a fantastic community center. And I love that there is a partnership with the public safety to have an office out there. And so I just wanted to say kudos to that whole team for getting that put in place.
Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, I suppose that's a hazard of going last, isn't it? Sounds like there's lots of really wonderful events happening downtown this weekend, and I hope that people take the opportunity to get out there and avail themselves of all the wonderful resources our city has to offer. The zoning and the contracts are both big items, and both of those got wrapped up tonight. And I want to commend both departments for their involvement with that, and city staff for their hard work and dedication to both of those efforts that went, I think, very smoothly, having done each of those things in the past when they maybe did not. So both really big things, and congratulations to you guys for getting it done. Thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have for this evening.
Thanks, Councilman. Just a couple of comments from me. First off, Christine, congratulations again. And as you've been here, you've really done a great job, and look forward to moving forward as we have, I'll say, work to do, as we all know, and through our assessing, not for the personnel, but just the diligence to the work that's at hand. So look forward to the future working together on that. This Friday, the 11th, is, as we know, YMCA does our recreational programs out at Munson Park, and this Friday is the All-Star Game that the students of different levels of baseball and softball for the ladies the games are played, and I think the championship game is around 8 o'clock. And it's a really great treat for the youth to be able to play under the lights, and they get to do that, so that's great. Councilwoman Vining, she also was a participant with our Clerk Lavoie and I, as we had the Opportunity Center youth come to learn about a little bit about the role and what this council chambers is and what it is about to not just to serve, but to be a resident, and their important role with that as well. I will say everybody up here had somebody playing their role, and they did a fabulous job. So it was educational and great to connect with the youth and see what they're thinking and making some decisions that they got to do that day. As we know, we have a sister city in Hofu, Japan, and our students are departing tomorrow, no, the 9th. They're departing the 9th to go to Japan and represent our community. 5 students will be going, along with our 2 chaperones, and they'll be there, but they're as they live with host families within a Japanese family, just as when the Japanese students come here, we look for host families. I will let you know they're still looking for a couple more host families for somebody that'd like to host a student from our sister city. If so, you can just let me know, and I'll get you in contact with the MIFA, the Monroe International Friendship Association, our nonprofit that helps us manage that program. But with that, this is unique this time. They'll be coming back on July 24th, and this time the Japanese students will be on the same plane. It's usually days later. So that'll be helpful, but that is also the day we'll have a reception here at City Hall, and I invite anybody in our community to come and see the students as they do their skits, introduce themselves, and our host families will be here, and how they then take the students home with them for the evening. And then they stay with one family for a week, and then they transition to a second family. So they may live anywhere in the county, of course, and so they may live in a rural setting, and the first host family may be in a more urban setting. We're trying to show them what Monroe is, and from our region of Monroe, and then they'll be here for through the fair, which they love to learn about. They don't know what the county fair is, but they go out there and have a good time, and of course the parade. So those are my comments this evening. I don't think I have anything further. That's all. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
I just have one. I wanted to congratulate you, Christine. It's really important for a good partnership between the assessor's office and the treasurer's office, and due to some structural issues in the treasurer's office this year, I had an opportunity to work with you one-on-one, and I just can't say enough about you and your professionalism and your enthusiasm, and you are definitely everything that you set out to be, and so I'm really looking forward to working with you as we go forward. So welcome, officially welcome, right?
Okay. Manager Robbins, before I go to you, I had one more item I just noticed at the bottom of my list. We had a work session this evening, and it was talking about e-bikes, and we really need some guidance, not only from administration, our conversation, how we do that, but also the public. So nothing happening yet quickly, but I think is to pay attention, as we'll have, I'm sure, another opportunity to have some discussion in how we work with e-bike and those that ride e-bikes, and how they can be such a benefit to our community, but also how we kind of manage that moving forward. And so we looking for input at some point as well. Manager Robinson.
Yes, Your Honor and Council, and I'd like to again congratulate Christine. But I also like to look out to our audience, because Director Tolstedt, Director Cochran, and Director Lewis were unable to be here. And they all had items that could have been in question, and I'm very happy to see the Deputy Director Vanasacker and Deputy Director Schaefer and Commander Walls were here, and it just kind of goes to where we're seeing what was part of the council goals and objectives, is making sure that we build that succession where our people are competent and able to step in when somebody's not able to be here, and I appreciate all of them taking time out of their day and night in order to be here.
Thank you. So before I take public comment, I do want to thank Dr. Everly, Human Resources, and the team, and the employees as we came to a discussion on contracts and found the space that benefits for the city, the employees, and the bargaining done in a fashion that was professional and productive. So my thanks to everybody on that. So that, at this time, citizens' comments. If there's those present here this evening who wish to make comments, please come to the podium, state your name, your jurisdiction, residence, and mindful there's 3 minutes. Any comments from those present here this evening? Any comments? Seeing no comments, motion to adjourn, please. Motion by Councilwoman Germaine, supported by Councilwoman Stringham to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Stringham? Yes. Felder? Yes. Mayor Clark?
All.